Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this infinity Kumihimo bracelet, and it looks like this. So I've used two different colours here to make it stand out and then just turned it into a bracelet. So if you want to learn how to make this, then keep watching. So these are the things that we'll need. Now first off, here we have the round Kumihimo disc. This is what we'll need to make the braid with, because we're making a round braid. And then here I have my cords. This is 1mm satin cord. And I'm just using two different colours here, but you can obviously use whatever you want. You can use the same colour, that's completely up to you. But these are just the ones that I'm using. So let's get all the materials together and let's get started. So to get started, what we need to do is cut a cord ready. And what I have here is 8 lengths of my 1mm satin cord of about 80 centimeters each. And this is to create one side of the bracelet first. So everything that I'm showing you now, all the steps that we need to make this, you want to repeat all this for the other side of the bracelet as well. So these are the cords that we need to work with. And then what I'm going to do, this is going to work a little bit differently than your regular Kumihimo braid. So I'm going to bring in a measuring tape here. Because what we need to do is kind of start working further up our lengths of cord. So what I'm going to measure is about 30 centimeters in on all the cords, they're all put together at the end. And about 30 centimeters in here, I want to tie just a regular knot. This is just temporary, to kind of keep them all together so we can start working with them on the Kumihimo disc. And just tie that. So we have a short length on one side of the knot, and then we have longer lengths on the other side. And then what we need to do now is attach them to the Kumihimo disc. So to attach it to a disc, what we need to do is work with the long end first. So the short one here is the one we need to put through the center of our disc. And so they're just hanging out at the bottom here. So just keep hold of it at the back there with your fingers, and then we're just going to distribute these to create a regular 8-strand round braid. So I'm just going to be using the dots on my disc here, don't worry about the numbers. Distribute them around there evenly, so you have 2 around each dot on each their side, so just like this. And then what we're going to do to create the braid is just a regular 8-strand braid here. So I start with my top left one, bring it down over to the bottom pair, stay on the left side, my bottom right one, bring that up and stay on the right side of the top. Turn your disc for the next pair here, so 1/4. So the top left one, bring it down, stay on the left side, the bottom right one, bring it up and stay on the right side, and turn it 1/4 again. And you just keep doing this. Now you don't have to start with that same side as me. You can also start with the top right one and go down if you want to, or start from the bottom, that's completely personal preference. So you just want to keep doing this for a little bit until we build a section of braid here in the center of our cords. And what you can do as well is add a weight to the back of your cords there coming out through the disc. That's completely up to you. I just tend to hold my cords with this. When it's just satin cord like this, you can easily just hold it with your fingers like that, but you can also use a weight if you feel comfortable with that. So just keep doing this until you have a length of braid. So I've now kept braiding for a bit, and then at the back here you have your braid coming out. Now what I'm doing is I'm stopping now, and what I'm doing is I've braided a length of about 10 centimeters, so from the very inner point there where your braid is building, and then to about just about the knot, it's about 10 centimeters. So that's roughly the size that you want to do. So what we need to do now is then change this around so we can start creating the actual loop. So what you want to do is we need to release this from the disc. And you just want to do this carefully. It's not going to unravel just all of a sudden out of the blue. If you just kind of put your fingers at the back of the disc here through, just where all your cords are ending. So just here, keep hold of that. And then what I'm going to do is just grab a bit of spare wire here and just kind of wrap this round right at the end to keep it all in place. And you can also use cord to do this, but if you have a bit of wire it kind of works just a little bit better because it stays in place where you put it basically, whereas cord you'll have to wrap around and put in knots and stuff. So just wrap it around a few times just to hold everything in place. So to attach the two ends together, what we need to do is I'm also just going to secure the other end here, because we need to undo the knot. So you can either undo the knot and secure it, but I find it easier just to secure it first. So just at the end of the braid, just before the knot here, Just want to do the same thing, wrap the wire around, just so when we undo that knot, the braid is not going to come undone. So just a little something like this. And then we can go in and do this original knot that we did, that was just temporary. So just gently undo it, pull all your ends through, and then what we have is two kind of loose ends that have just been bound off like this. So what we need to do is kind of put these together so the end of our braid sits right next to each other, and then we just use some of this wire to bind the two together as well. Or you can take a new piece, whichever, that's fine, just so they stay together like that. And this is just temporary because we'll take this off once we've done the braid. So what we need to do now is reattach this to the disc and make the next part. So in this case what we do, we put the loop that we've made, the braid that we did just now, we put that through the middle there, and then we want to distribute all these cords again, and we're still making a round braid, but what I'm going to be doing now is a 16 strand braid instead of an 8 strand because we have more cords here obviously. And it doesn't really matter how you distribute overall. What I just want to say is try and keep the cords. You can see these ones are coming out towards the top here. Those I then want to put towards the top of my disc. So just kind of try and separate them out to the direction that they're already coming out at, so you don't have them crossing over too much, because it can affect the final look of your braid a little bit. So just where you feel it's appropriate to put them, all the way around your disc. So we're putting them around the side dots again, or the dots all the way around, just like the first time, but we're also spacing them out just in between, so evenly. So just like this. Fill out all the way around with your dots, grabbing the cords that you think fit that place. Side ones here. All the way. I've got 4 left, these 2 to go to the bottom. And the last one's out here. So as you can see, they're still spaced evenly, so just follow the dots again, don't worry about the numbers, just like before. And then again, you can either add a weight to this if you feel comfortable, or just use your fingers to help pull it down. So now what we need to do is start braiding again, and this is the exact same principle as before, we only have more cords to work with. So I'm going to start with my top left. Like I said, if you start with the top right, that's fine. If you start from the bottom up, that's fine as well, just as long as you kind of stay consistent throughout. So I take my top left one, bring it down to the very opposite pair. Same principle, the only difference is you have more cords, so it feels like you kind of have a bit less space on the disc. But just focus on opposite pairs all the time. My bottom right one goes up, turn to the very next pair that you come across, top left one down to the very opposite pair, bottom right one up. And you just keep doing this. Now how long you need this for, it really depends on what size you need your bracelet to be. But I just kind of recommend doing this until you've used all the lengths of your cord. Because rather have a bit too much braid than too little, because you can always cut it down. So just keep doing this until you used up all your cords. So I've now kept braiding here until I'm kind of running out of my cord on the sides. And then on the back you have your braid coming out with that loop at the end. So what we need to do now is take this off of the board. So just keep hold of the braid with your fingers here, just like we did when we did the original loop, just so it doesn't unravel. So you have a lot more cords now. So take it all the way off your disc. And then what we need to do is just bind this end off again, just temporarily, so we can then finish off the end. I'm just going to take a bit of spare wire again and just bind that around the end so it doesn't unravel on me while I keep working on it. So just like we did when we made the loop as well. So just like that. And then we basically have the one side finished now, because you have your loop here going in to the main part of the braid. Now what you can do now is unravel this as well if you haven't done that already. The original temporary wire bindings you did up here. So just like this, and remove your wire. And then up here you have a nice seamless transition from the smaller braid going into the larger one. And that's how you do that, and it's nice and secure now because we continued that braid. So now that you have this one half of your bracelet done, we need to repeat the exact same thing with the other colour if you're using a different colour, but just the other side of the bracelet. I recommend doing this before you finish off the ends so you know exactly the length that this needs to be before you cut anything off down here. So make the other one as well, and then I'll show you how we put it together. So now that you've finished making this one and also made the other one here that I've already done, you have two of the same but obviously different colours, if you're using different colours that is. And then what we need to do now is actually put them together, because I'm going to just put them together so it's kind of one final piece before I actually finish off the ends of my braids. Because that way, when we know they're put together and they sit the way we want them to sit, we know it's going to be easier to determine how long we need the bracelet to be. So what we need to do is start with one loop and then the end of the other one. And we need to put the end through the loop and pull the ends of that braid through. So it's like this, and then we also need to put the ends through the other loop. So just basically opposite ends through opposite loops, like that. And then we're going to pull, and then when you pull, your loops are going to sit nicely like this to create that infinity symbol. And then this is now the point where I want to measure the piece. So I'm going to get my measuring tape out and then just decide how long you want your bracelet to be. Now I want this to be about 7 inches, because you got to remember as well the clasp you're going to put on is going to take up a bit of space, roughly about maybe half an inch to a full inch depending what you're using. So, and what you just want to make sure as well is that this in the middle, the knot here in the middle, is going to be in the middle of your bracelet. So you want both braids on each side to be the same length. So you just want to do that, and then you can move. Once you decide it when, just move your wire here further up to finish off that end, secure it in place. And then you just want to finish off the ends of this braid the same way as any other braid. And I've already got a tutorial on how to do that, where you use these end clasps. So bell-shaped Kumihimo ends, and then just use whatever clasp you want to use as well. So what I'm going to do is put a link in the description box to that tutorial that might be helpful, so you can have a look at that. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this beaded Kumihimo braid but using long macadamia beads, which will give you a completely different effect than any other beads. And this is what it looks like. So because of the shape of these beads, you get this almost like scaly effect. And it's a really nice result you can get. So if you want to learn how to do that, then keep watching. And so these are the things that you'll need. Now for this we'll need to